what we're going to do is talk about creating a coalition. We're going to talk about how we can expand those coalition efforts to reach across our communities to start to create a more responsive and open America to ourselves, and I believe we can do that. I want to share with you the way I take the word power and break it down. Those of you who attended the prior conference, you're allowed to close your eyes or yawn during this period, because you've heard this one already. But I break the word down, and I begin with the letter P, and P stands for pride. Pride in who we are, pride in what we do, pride in the fact you're here today. I give you that. The second letter is O, which I see as outreach. We must outreach to the people who didn't get to come today. We must outreach to the other disabilities that aren't represented here. We must outreach to the other groups, too, that are influenced by the condition of economic poverty as we are. Most of the difficulty confronting the population of people with disabilities are issues of poverty, not issues of disability. I'm going to repeat that. They're issues of poverty, not issues of disability. Okay? I hope you can understand and believe in that. Therefore, we must outreach to other poverty groups who are influenced by the same misdirected or wrong policies of our federal government, as well as our state and local governments. So we must make coalition effort beyond our community, but into some of the others. One of the instant coalitions we can make, a fabulous group to teach us the political process, the one we used in Illinois to launch our coalition, is the League of Women Voters. A wonderful, well-talented group that can provide you knowledge on how to integrate the political process. There's an example. Community action agencies designed under the Johnson administration on the war on poverty. I don't know why we ever stopped that war, because I don't think we ever won it, but apparently it just gets less news these days. But reach out to those people. Not only should they be serving people with disabilities, they should be part of our coalition to change the economic landscape of America. The next letter is W. We must have the wisdom of the systems we wish to integrate. It does not help us to go to a county board meeting and attack the county supervisors or board members or whatever if it was not their decision or their purview in why something was decided that way. We need to understand the political structure, the economic structure, the friendly structure in your community. You all know it, okay? You know which cafe to go to if you want to run across the mayor in your community. I know you do. You know which church to go to find either, your representative or your supervisor. I know you folks know that in your community better than I do. On the way out here, I did one of those things that make you feel really brilliant. I locked my keys in my car. I mean, if there's nothing, I don't know, did anybody else ever do that? Is it just something I do? A few little hands going like this? Yeah. Big ones going like that, okay? I do it, And, of course, the brilliance of it is my extra key is in the glove compartment. Isn't that why they gave it to me? So it's sitting right there. I sat there, and of course I'm in Wall, South Dakota. Those of you who've ever traveled east of here, Wall Drug, right? My wife and I on the way out here had a bet that the first person who saw a Wall Drug sign got $1 from the other person. We like to do these friendly little wagers to break up the boredom of driving. And I did win, by the way. I'd driven that road before she had, and I knew where the sign was. That's what happens when you're in control, Anyway, so I'm sitting there in Wall, and I go up and I knock on this door and talk to this one gentleman, and I say, I did this brilliant thing, locked my keys in the car. I have a 90 automobile, and he looked at it, he goes, boy, came out in a very friendly manner, kind of felt around the seal of the window there and goes, boy, you can't break in them like you used to, eh? And I said, boy, is that the truth? I used to coat hanger, I could get in any of your cars, okay? And so he said, just a minute, and he calls up and he goes, Bill, can you come down and help break in this man's car for him? And they, after some conversation, he hangs up and he goes, the sheriff can't help you today. His old little Jimmy bar only works on pre-88 cars. That's that little one that's a single little metal bar like that. Well, we got a few thieves in this room. I see people nodding their heads. You guys shouldn't have those things. Okay, anyways, and it reaches down, for those who don't know, next to your window, and it catches a little hook and unlocks your window. It takes, usually you rip apart the inside of your car door doing that, but when you're in Wallace, South Dakota, you're willing to do anything to get moving. Okay, and so then he gets on the phone, calls a couple other people by first name, and I find out that he's now talked to somebody down at Raw Drug, he's talked to somebody at the church, and then he finally talked to somebody at the auto parts store, and all on a first name basis, okay, who came out with this new device that it's really odd looking. I can't explain it to you exactly, but basically you slip it in on one side of your window, and then it comes up and it hooks on the little thing, you know, your button, not the button on the door, but the one on the side of the door that activates your lock. And he pulls that up, I mean, I'm talking 30 seconds. You know, so me feeling like a wonderful college graduate sitting there, anyways, and he lets me in. I realized that network, and I mentioned something to the gentleman. I said, didn't I see you this morning as I had breakfast in the cafe there? And he goes, oh yeah, and you saw the other town leaders too. And it of course hit me, as you folks know too. If you want to get something done, go into the local cafe or go to the local tavern, you know, depending on your persuasion of liquid you care to put in your body. And you can network there with so many power brokers in your communities that so much can be done there. So outreach to those people. Remember, we were spelling power. I had to remind myself. E, what do we use with the E word? Okay, energy. Okay, I understand you're sitting there, and I talked to a gentleman this morning who told me he drives about 4,000 miles a month. And now this guy from Illinois is coming in and going, hey, reach out to some more people. Go spend some time in the cafe and the bar. You know, go talk to another group. Or some of you are sitting here saying, I can't even keep my organization together, much less now create a coalition. I will contend to you that the energy you will spend in creating a coalition base today will allow you a savings of energy 5 years from now, 4 years from now, 3 years from now, okay? You will have more energy to accomplish the task you're trying to do now because you'll have more people doing them. You'll have more solutions. And that's also what we need in our community. If we sit there and we look at the example I gave about SSI recipients getting an easier transition into employment than SSDI, we can also look at the fact when some of us went out and advocated for curb cuts for wheelchairs, and some of the public officials made the curb cut so that it went out into the mainstream of traffic instead of like right with the crosswalk. You know, the kind of meeting they're in the middle of the cross, between the two crosswalks? Right at the point, thank you. Instead of at the crosswalk point. Our fellow citizens who happen to use canes, okay, for figuring out which was the way to go across the street, we're suddenly being led right into the middle of traffic now. That was sure a solution. I mean, if we wanted to get rid of one part of the population, it may have been. But it was a very small picture of the solution to that issue. We needed to make sure that those curb cuts were cut so that the people were able to go out into the crosswalk, as well as tactile changes on the sidewalk so that they recognized they were reaching a dangerous area. What I'm getting at is we will come up with more comprehensive solutions to the issues that confront us when we all get in the room and get our act together first, before we go to the politicians or we go to the local building official. If we develop the comprehensive solutions for those who have sensory disabilities, as well as physical, as well as cognitive, we will be a lot better off in the long run. Because when you change laws, it's best to only change them one time than to go in continually revamping them. Because every time you revamp them, you open them up for your enemy to dilute them also. So be careful. And yes, we do have enemies sometimes, folks. But use that energy. I will also add then that the R word, to create the full picture of power, is respect. We must have respect for one another, for our cultural backgrounds, if they are of a different kind, as well as for our different disabilities or for our different viewpoints. Some, when I first lived in Chicago, and I told you it was very Catholic, it is very Democratic also, okay? And some of your areas of the county may be one party or the other, or if the county you live in may vote one particular way. Don't suddenly just hate the other side. Respect that they have a different viewpoint, and hopefully assign some of your coalition members to go and talk with that group or to work in that party to change their opinion. If the Democrats are the supposed liberal, wonderful, human service party of this nation, then it appears to me we ought to all go join the Republican Party and change their minds. Why go preach to the choir? We might as well go change the people who don't think the way we do. But in fact, I think you'll find there's not much difference between Republicans and Democrats, and that what we need to do is present our issues with whichever party we choose to participate in. We also must have respect for the different disciplines we have. The folks in voc rehab, the folks in special ed, the folks in special rec, the folks in independent living, the folks in the university, the folks in human service, basically, in commitment to humankind, are underfunded people. Does anybody in this room who works get paid too much money? Does anybody in this room who delivers service have too much money? Does anybody who happens to have a disability that's here today and not in either of those categories have too much money to spend in the community? Well, congratulations, you are a part of the disability community and the human service field. The prioritization of resources, both human and in dollar cents, to our field has not been adequate in the past. It is still not adequate. And I've had many friends in the past tell me, oh, we must vote for a very strong economy. That's what matters. Trickle down will work, and eventually human service will get their dollars. I don't necessarily agree with that, and I will warn Montana, as I have warned people across the nation, that we are truly in a federalism mode, that it will be up to the states to absorb the human service programs that the federal government used to pay for. Let's start to look for common solutions. One of the areas brought up was the fact that we need consumers to get off their duffs and do something. I will expand that a little bit to say we need professionals to get off their duffs and do something too. We need the American public to get off their duffs and do something. I will ask you, how many people know what percent of the American public voted in the last national election for president?
39.
What'd you say?
Wasn't it roughly a quarter?
A little bit higher. Anyone else care to take a shot?
It was 40%.
Yes, 40 what?
47%.
Very good. It was about 47%, I believe, right in that area. Less than 50% of Americans who could vote bothered to go to the polls and vote. The most precious, most valuable human activity in this world. Only less than one half decided to go. Now, there may have been a multitude of reasons that people did not like the choices. We will discuss that in detail later. But the fact being that very few Americans bothered to go and exercise the most precious of human values, and that is electing and selecting our leaders and the policies that will lead us into the future. That you, the people, right here, have that power. Whether it's in western Montana, whether it's in a community of 42 people, whether it's a community where you know every brother and sister and family member that lives in that community, whether it is a community that is right here in Missoula, or whether it's trying to be in the larger community of changing the federal government's regulations and that ridiculous red tape, you have the power to change it. All people have unique talents. All people have something to give to society in whatever manner it is that they can do it. But what we must offer, and what the dream must be, is inclusion of all people and a method and a way to allow them to maximize their talents, which to me is what independent living and Summit exude to the world, is we want individuals to be able to maximize their individual talents. We want people to be as productive as they possibly can in their own unique way. And the way in which we do that is by creating a world and an environment that has its heart and has its streets and has, as we've heard earlier, its entryways open to all people to be able to come in and participate. It is the youth of America that holds our future, that actually holds the light of hope for us. It is up to us, as sort of the crusty old advocates, or as those who have been involved so long, to set in place the vehicle and the structure that will allow them to truly open up this world to all the people and open it up with an open heart in recognizing those talents. We can all do that. And we can do it by what you've done today, coming together and sharing your concerns and sharing your issues. We have the power to create an environment that clearly can change things. You've got a common concern, and that's what you've all expressed in here. So I want a motion from someone to create a coalition, and I think right now let's just deal with this area, okay, that's been identified here. If you are from Billings or something and you want to go back there and begin your chapter of it, super, okay? But I think for right now, let's just agree we want a motion for a coalition in the state of Montana. And then we agree that we are going to at least get it started, because we've got all this talent from this area in this room that we're going to get going on that. So anybody want to make that motion? So moved. So moved? So motion. Second motion. And a second right here. Can we get you, can someone record this? Because this is going to be historical for you. And I know that sounds corny right now, but just think if our forefathers had not bothered to write down the Declaration, if they had just talked about it. You know, it'd be kind of boring when you go to D.C. and you can't look at that, you know? And besides, just think of all the TV programs that we wouldn't have had.
How do you want that worded?
We would like the motion worded. Would you take a stab at it? I'm an out-of-stater, and I might use a wrong M state again, and then you'll all be mad at me again, so I'm going to quiet.
I would move that we form a local coalition to address disability issues and become politically active in the local area with the intent of bringing it to a statewide level.
Boy, I'm slow today, Michael. You might have to repeat.
I can't say it again.
Michael, let me make a recommendation that your purpose and mission is going to be another vote. That the mere idea of forming the structure should be the only thing you need to say. So, you know, you want a coalition in the state of Montana to address disability concerns and bring together the interested citizens. How's that? As to what it does politically, will happen as you develop your bylaws and your mission and goal statement. And that will be for some others to do down the road, if we could. Got that one kind of, Jude?
Okay. We form a coalition in the state of Montana to include interested persons. Am I missing something?
Interested citizens.
Okay.
I think you might want to use that word. We have citizens in our name for a reason. Because politicians pay more attention, I think, to that word than they do people. And citizens to me means civically active. Okay? I think we have said, though, to deal with disability concerns or issues, whichever you want to say it, or topics. Maybe it shouldn't be negative, because concern sounds like there's a problem. Is issues a problem word also? So, topics? That seems like it could be pro or con, or negative or positive. Okay. And then we had a second right here. Your name was? Yes, excuse me.
Marilyn Cayley.
Okay. Marilyn K.
Missoula.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor. It's open for discussion right now. Oh, yes, go ahead
I
first.
just want to know if we are going to approach other like interest groups to be part of this coalition. Like, what we discussed at our last conference was finding where the wheel links together. You're not interested in all their concern, but find where the wheel links together and link up as a Are we gonna do that?
It would certainly be my suggestion, but I, again, am in the hired gun, and I leave town today, and it's up to you what you do after I leave. If that is your choice, for instance, as we just said, I would like, let me tell you in my coalition, okay, and then perhaps by showing you an example, that may help direct the direction of the dream or the vision, is we have building contractors, we have medical supply companies, I have a motorcycle shop that's a member of my coalition. I have people that are school teachers, I have people that are carpenters, I have people that are unemployed that are members. We have both individual and organizational memberships because we think you need both. Also, where you're talking about those points of linkages, if we do it like that kind of, I say to the building contractors, I don't need all of you to join, but if your association would join mine, we'll join yours too. You know, when you have enough money. Sometimes their associations are $5,000 or $10,000. You can't do that. But, you know, we try wherever we can to do mutual links. I'm a member of the Illinois Community Action Agency. That's the people who serve the poor. I do that because I think I should be there representing poor people with disabilities, okay? And I link into a whole nother network that way. And so we belong to several different associations. Now, one of the things we don't do, though, is we don't join, for instance, all of the disability organizations, because if we did that, we're just trading back and forth. It does make sense if I join epilepsy and ARC and I'm suddenly lost all my membership dues. You know, they've gone right back out the window. So what we say is on that, please come to us. We're not claiming we're the best. The other thing we do, and I go to great lengths to do this, folks, and I'll tell you how here in a little bit, is to let the other organizations go. We're not here to replace you. By no means. As you've heard me speak for the last few days, everybody has a bit to play in the spectrum of services to people with disabilities, okay? We all don't have enough resources. What we're talking about here is, though, a group that can tie together in a knot. How'd you like that? I got in the title of this session. Okay. That can tie together in a knot all of these different service and advocacy issues together under one umbrella. It doesn't mean at times that the Head Injury Association isn't going to feel opposed to a viewpoint of ARC perhaps, or of some other group. But what we're saying is, for the general situation and the common good, we will have this umbrella organization. Understand that some days we're just frankly not going to like each other. And some days we are. Or some days we will mutually respect, but we've got to take a different viewpoint on it. Does that answer?
Right.
All right, any further questions? Yes.
I think we already have started a coalition in this area with the Native group. We just have a coalition, but that's the idea with the thing.
Yeah, you may wish to, my understanding is that's Consumer Advocacy Group. You may wish that to be a subset still unique to itself of this total picture of the coalition. You may want it just to be if you think of it as as a body, and that's one cell over there that's dealing specifically with the issues of consumers that they can feed into this coalition, okay? Because this coalition is going to have professionals, concerned citizens, maybe politicians. I didn't tell you that. I have 37 of my legislators that are members of my coalition. Guess what? When they zero funded me this year, I went back to them and said, "You're going to zero fund your own coalition?" They said, "Well, hell no." And of course they didn't. I got my money back. Another thing, but we'll get to that. Okay, let's take the vote. Do I have anyone want to call? All you have to do is say call.
Call.
Okay. All in favor indicate by aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Let the record show that the citizens present in Missoula, Montana on this date voted unanimously to form a coalition. Congratulations. Yeah.